It was late, and I found myself standing outside a rundown roadside inn, the kind of place where folks go to disappear for a while. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Right in front of me, clear as daylight under the flickering parking lot light, sat my wife's car. Not at a grocery store like she said. Not at a friend's place. Here. A cheap motel that smelled like betrayal before you even walked through the door. I pulled my phone from my jacket, my hand trembling as I punched in her number. It barely rang before she answered, her voice light and cheerful like nothing was wrong in the world. "Hey, sweetheart," she chirped. "Just picking up a few things at the store. I'll be home soon." That tone made my stomach turn. I stared at her car while gripping the phone tighter. "Just grabbing a few things, huh?" I asked, trying to keep my voice from shaking. "Yeah," she said, calm as ever. "Almost done." I ended the call without another word and slid the phone into my pocket. My jaw was locked tight. In the back of my truck, I had an old wooden baseball but I kept for emergencies. I was not sure what I was going to do, but right then, my world had been torn open. 12 years of marriage, and it had come to this. I wrapped my fingers around the bat, feeling the rough grain of the wood. I had never been the kind of man to raise a hand in anger, but something about tonight felt like it had split me open. Trust don't grow back easy once it's ripped out of you. Then I heard it. A man's laugh, and right after, her voice. That voice I used to fall asleep to. Soft. Familiar. She was in there with him. Not more than 10 feet from where I stood. I stepped forward, bat hanging loose at my side, and was about to knock the door off its hinges, when it opened. There she was. Anna. Standing in the doorway in the same blue dress she wore last year when we celebrated our anniversary. Behind her, some man, tall, smug, shirt half-buttoned, frozen in place. His eyes went from her to me to the bat. "Tom," she gasped. "What are you doing here?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "What am I doing here?" "How about you tell me, Anna? Grocery shopping? Thought maybe they sold loyalty now." She stammered something, but I didn't hear it. I was staring at her like I didn't recognize the woman in front of me. And I didn't. She tried to recover. "Let's be honest, Tom. Things haven't been right for a long time. Maybe if you had paid more attention." I held up a hand. "Don't you dare blame this on me." Her voice turned cold. "You're always so predictable, Tom. So routine. You stopped trying a long time ago." I could barely breathe. I had given her everything. My time. My trust. My loyalty. And here she was, tossing it out like it was scrap paper. I turned to the guy behind her, staring him down. "You the guy sneaking around behind my back?" He raised his hands like I was holding a gun instead of a bat. "She said you two were finished." "I didn't know it was like this, man." I laughed once. "Yeah, well, she lies easy." Anna rolled her eyes and grabbed the guy's arm. "Let's go," she said, turning away like I was some pathetic obstacle. I stepped in her path. "You think you can just walk away from this like nothing happened?" She tilted her head. "Tom, come on. This marriage was over a long time ago. You were just too blind to see it." That hurt more than anything. More than catching her. More than hearing her laugh with another man. Because in that moment, I realized I had been living in a lie for years. "You're right," I said finally. "It is dead. But you're the one who killed it." She pushed past me without another glance, dragging her new boyfriend behind her. They rounded the corner, and I stood there like a fool holding that bat like it could hold my world together. "Hey," I called out after them. They both turned. "Enjoy your freedom, Anna," I said, my voice calm. "Because once I'm through with this, you won't have anything left to crawl back to." She scoffed. "You're all talk, Tom." "No," I replied. "Not this time. I'll see you in court." She paused for a second, just a second, and then kept walking. Something changed in me as I watched them go. I felt calm, like the storm had passed, and all that was left was clarity. I turned, walked back to my truck, and started driving. The roads were empty. Just me, my headlights, and the silence. And for the first time in a long while, that silence felt like a fresh start. When I pulled into the driveway, the porch light was still on like it always was. But it did not feel like home anymore. It felt like a stage set, propped up with memories that were no longer real. Inside, everything was just where she had left it. Her slippers by the couch. Her coffee mug in the sink. I moved through the house like a stranger. I stopped in front of the family photos on the wall. Our wedding. That beach trip. Her smile. All of it felt like it belonged to another life. Another man. I took down the photos one by one and tore them in half. Each rip felt like pulling a thorn from a wound that had been bleeding for too long. Then the doorbell rang. I opened the door, half expecting Anna standing there with some fake apology. But it was Claire, our neighbor. She looked concerned. "Tom," she said gently, "you okay?" You looked shaken. I tried to brush it off, but she saw right through it. "Listen," she said. "I do not mean to pry. But if you need to talk, I am here." Claire had always been kind. One of the few people who seemed to notice when I was struggling. And suddenly, standing there in the doorway, something inside me gave way. I nodded. "Yeah, maybe I could use someone to talk to." Claire had always been around, just part of the neighborhood. She'd helped out with small things over the years, a lawnmower that would not start, a casserole after my dad passed, but I never gave it much thought. That night, though, after everything with Anna, when everything in my life felt like it had been flipped upside down, Claire's presence felt solid, like a rope thrown to a man overboard. We sat in the kitchen. I started talking and, before I knew it, I could not stop. I told her everything, how I followed Anna to the motel, what I saw, what she said. Every word felt like pressure being released after years of bottling it up. Every moment I had ignored, every time I told myself it would get better, it all came rushing out. Claire just sat there, listening. Her face was calm, but I could see the anger there, not directed at me, but at what had been done to me. When I finally ran out of words, she reached across the table and laid her hand on mine. "Tom," she said quietly, "you did not deserve that. Not any of it. That was not love, and she had no right." I did not realize how much I needed someone to say that out loud. My throat tightened, and I nodded. "Thanks, Claire. I think I just needed someone to hear it." Her fingers gave mine a light squeeze. "Anytime. You're a good man, Tom. Do not let her mess make you forget that." We sat in that silence for a bit. Not awkward, just real. I cannot say it was romantic. It was not, but it was something solid, something kind. And that meant more than I knew how to explain. Eventually, Claire stood and said, "If you need anything, seriously, you come get me, day or night." After she left, the house was quieter than ever, but not in a sad way. It felt clean, like the air had finally cleared. Anna had stripped the life we built down to its bones, but in doing that, she also gave me something she never meant to, a clean start. I spent the rest of the night boxing up her things, her books, her clothes, little decorations she brought home over the years. Every item I packed felt like a little bit of myself coming back. A chapter closed. When I finally laid down in bed, the quiet didn't feel lonely anymore. It felt earned. I knew I still had a long road ahead. There would be days when her betrayal punched me all over again, but I also knew I would get through it. Claire's voice echoed in my head. "You didn't deserve that." And for the first time in a long while, I believed it. The next morning, the sunlight through the blinds felt like a spotlight. Like life was no longer letting me hide from anything. Waking up alone, without Anna beside me, was strange, but also freeing. It hit me hard. She was really gone. Not just gone for the night, not just out with friends. Gone, like a door shut for good. I grabbed my phone and started making the calls. Lawyer, bank, insurance. Every step forward felt like taking my life back 1 inch at a time. I was not going to be some sorry man waiting around while she built a life off my back. Just as I wrapped up a call with my attorney, my phone buzzed again. It was her. "We need to talk. I'll come by at noon." I stared at that message. Anger boiled up again, but also curiosity. I typed a one-word reply. "Fine." When noon rolled around, my chest felt tight. The doorbell rang. I braced myself and opened the door. There she was, Anna, dressed like she was heading to a job interview. Neat, polished, fake. She gave a tight smile. "Tom," she said softly, stepping into the house like she owned the place. Her eyes scanned the room, like she was trying to remember what she used to call home. I folded my arms. "What do you want, Anna?" She sighed, like this whole thing was just a bother. "Last night got out of hand. I was upset. I never wanted it to happen that way. I didn't mean to hurt you." I just looked at her. "Got out of hand? You've been lying to me for months, maybe longer. Sneaking around. And now you want to say it just got out of hand." She did not even look sorry. She just looked annoyed. "Fine," she said. "Yes, I cheated. But can you really tell me this is a surprise?" I felt my fists clench, but I took a deep breath. "No, Anna, I am not surprised. I am disgusted. You did not try to fix this. You just gave up." She shrugged, barely meeting my eyes. Maybe there was nothing left worth fixing. I shook my head. "Then why are you here? If it was already over, why come back?" For a second, I saw something in her face, maybe guilt, maybe the last flicker of the woman I married. I just We have history. I thought we could be civil. I laughed once. Bitter. Civil? You tore this house apart, and now you want to talk about being civil. She shifted on her feet. Maybe I should have ended things sooner. But I do not regret moving on, Tom. Maybe you should, too. That was it. Right there. The final nail. She was not sorry. She was not even sad. She just wanted out. Clean, easy, no blame. I stepped forward. You are right. I am moving on. But do not think for 1 second I'm going to let you skip away from this without consequences. I talked to a lawyer. You are not getting the house. You are not getting the accounts. You are not taking anything else. She blinked. That got her. Tom, let's be reasonable. No. You gave up reasonable the second you gave up on us. Now this is just business. And trust me, I will handle it. Her face twisted. Fine. Be that way. But you are not perfect either. People make mistakes. I stared at her. No, Anna. You made choices. You cheated. You lied. You broke us. She stood there for a moment, realizing that I was not folding. Then, without another word, she turned and walked out. I did not stop her. I watched her drive away, and for the first time, I felt real peace. I walked through the house after she left. Everything felt quiet again, but this time it was not comforting. It was hollow. Her smell still lingered in the rooms. Her books still lined the shelf. The wedding album sat on the coffee table like nothing ever happened. But she was gone, and this was my house now. I went to the garage and grabbed more boxes. Started packing again. Her sweaters. Her coffee mugs. That dumb little statue she bought on a trip I never got invited on. Each thing I packed felt like one more piece of her gone from my life. Then my phone buzzed. It was Claire. Hey, Tom. Just checking in. You doing all right? I stared at the message for a second. That simple text felt warmer than anything I had felt in a long time. Getting there. Thanks for checking. Just packing up her stuff. Her reply came fast. Need help? I can come over. Might be easier with someone. I hesitated. I had always done things on my own. But something in me was tired of carrying it all by myself. That'd be nice, actually. Thanks. 20 minutes later, Claire showed up with a couple of empty boxes. She rolled up her sleeves, gave me a nod, and we got to work. No lectures. No advice. Just help. As we packed, we found ourselves laughing at some of the junk we pulled out. Gifts Anna bought and never used, decorations still in their boxes. For the first time in days, I smiled. She handed me an old photo album, and I flipped through it slowly. It felt like looking at someone else's life. Younger me. A version of Anna I did not recognize anymore. I cannot believe I kept all this, I muttered. Claire glanced at the pictures. Sometimes it takes a while to notice the cracks. I nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. When we finished, I made us coffee. We sat at the kitchen table in silence, and for once, it was the kind of silence I did not want to escape. Thank you, Claire, I said quietly. She just smiled. I do not know how I would have handled any of this without Claire. When she smiled across that kitchen table and gave my hand a gentle squeeze, something in me steadied. You're stronger than you think, Tom, she said softly. Sometimes we just need a little nudge. Her hand lingered a second longer than I expected. And in that moment, I noticed something I hadn't before, this warmth in her eyes. It wasn't just kindness. There was something more. I brushed it off, figured it was just a moment between two people dealing with a mess. But deep down, something shifted. As I walked her to the door, she turned before leaving. There was hesitation in her face, like she had more to say. Tom, whatever happens, I want you to know. I'm here, okay? Whatever you need. I wanted to say something meaningful back, but nothing came out. I just nodded, watching her head home. And when the door shut behind her, it hit me. I didn't feel as alone as I did before. Claire had helped fill that space Anna left behind. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt like maybe there was a shot at something new. In the days that followed, I poured myself into fixing the life Anna broke. I had meetings with my lawyer, sorted through accounts, and finally tackled that list of home repairs I had been putting off for years. But even with all the distractions, it was the quiet times I kept thinking about. Claire's laugh, the steady way she listened, how she never made me feel small. Her presence lingered in my mind like a soft echo. Then one evening, just as I was finishing repainting the bedroom, a text came through. Need a break? Come over for a drink. I did not even think twice. I wrote back, be right there. Minutes later, I was on her porch. Claire handed me a cold beer and we settled on her back patio, the sun setting behind the trees. We talked for hours. About everything. About nothing. It was easy. Natural. I hadn't felt that at ease in a long time. At some point, the conversation slowed, and we both looked up at the stars. Her hand brushed against mine, light, uncertain. I looked at her. She looked back. No hesitation in her eyes. Just honesty. And that was it. Our fingers found each other. No big moment. No grand gesture. Just two people who had been through enough to know this meant something. The weeks that followed were quiet, steady. Nothing flashy, but real. Claire and I did not rush it. We kept it between us while we figured things out. And the more time I spent with her, the more I saw how different it felt, how right it felt. One night I was finishing up a bookshelf I had built, something to take my mind off everything, when I heard a knock at the door. I figured it was Claire. But it was not. It was Anna. She looked different. Worn down. The fire she had when she walked out that night? Gone. Now she stood there looking small, holding on to her purse like it was all she had left. "Tom," she said, her voice small. "Can I come in?" I hesitated. For a second, all the memories came rushing back. Some good, most not. But I stepped aside and let her in. She moved slowly through the living room, glancing around like she did not recognize the place anymore. "I heard you've been working on the house," she said, trying to smile. "Looks good." I stayed near the hallway, arms crossed. "Yeah, thought it was time for some change." She nodded, fidgeting with her sleeve. "I can see that." Then came the words I figured she might say one day. I wanted to apologize. I stared at her, not sure whether to laugh or walk away. Apologize? For what, exactly? She looked down. "For how I treated you. For what I did. For not seeing what I had." I watched her closely. Something felt off. The words were right, but the weight behind them? Missing. I had been with Anna long enough to know when she was working an angle. "Why now, Anna?" I asked. "Why show up now?" And then I saw it, that same flicker of fear she had the night I told her I'd see her in court. She wasn't here for closure. She was here because things had gone south. The guy she left me for? Probably kicked her out. She was scrambling. "I thought I could manage," she said, giving that old fake smile. "But things didn't go the way I planned. I'm staying with a friend for now. Just temporary." Of course. She had lost her fallback plan and figured I might be plan B. "So let me get this straight," I said. "You're here now because you've got nowhere else to go?" She shot me a look. "No, that's not it. I just miss us." I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. I shook my head, a sharp laugh slipping out. "You miss us? Anna, you torched what we had. You left because it wasn't exciting enough. Because I was predictable. But now that things got rough, suddenly I look better." She bristled, her tone turning sharp. "I made mistakes, Tom. But don't pretend you were some saint. You were boring. You never changed." I smirked, tired of her rewriting history. "You mean I was stable, loyal, the man who kept this house standing?" "Yeah, I'll take boring over being a selfish liar any day." She turned her face, her jaw tightening. For a second, I thought she might try again. But instead, she muttered, "Well, looks like you've moved on." She started toward the door. And right then, Claire appeared on the porch, holding a basket of muffins. She stopped in her tracks, eyes flicking from Anna to me. Claire smiled like nothing was out of the ordinary. "Hey, Tom. Brought these over for you. Hope I'm not crashing anything." Anna's face twisted. Her voice dipped with venom. "I see. Did not take you long, huh?" Claire's hand found mine, calm as ever. I looked Anna square in the eyes. "You walked away, Anna. You don't get to decide what I do now." She stared at me, one last time. Then she turned and left. Anna scoffed and rolled her eyes like a teenager caught in a lie. "Well, good luck," she muttered, bitterness thick in her voice. "You'll need it." And with that, she turned and slammed the door behind her so hard it rattled the windows. Claire let out a small laugh, breaking the silence. "Guess she didn't take that very well," she said, giving me a playful smile. I laughed too, a real one this time. The last bits of anger inside me seemed to just fall away. No, but I think that's exactly what I needed. We stood there in the quiet, the house feeling lighter somehow. Claire looked at me, her eyes calm and steady. "How about we celebrate? You've got a clean slate now." I nodded. For the first time in a long time, I felt something that looked like peace. Real peace. Hope, even. That night, we cooked together. Nothing fancy, just some pasta and wine, but it felt like a new beginning. A month passed like that. Easy. Steady. Claire and I settled into something solid, something honest. No games. No secrets. Just two people figuring it out together. With Anna gone completely, the house finally felt like mine. Or maybe even ours. One night, while I was finishing up dishes after dinner, Claire came in with that little mischievous smile she wore when she had a surprise. "Come with me," she said, grabbing my hand. She led me down the block to her place. When we stepped into her kitchen, 2 plane tickets were sitting on the counter. "Paris," she said, beaming. "I figured it's time for you to see something new." My heart skipped a beat. I had not been on a real vacation in years. Especially not with someone who made it feel like it was more than just a trip. "Claire, this is amazing." She wrapped her arms around me. "Just think of it as our reset button," she whispered. "A celebration." I pulled her close, kissed her. It was warm, honest. But just as our lips met, the doorbell rang. Claire frowned, stepping back. "You expecting someone?" I shook my head. "Not a soul." We went to the front door, and when I opened it, everything changed. It was Anna. Her hair was messy, eyes wide. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. A mess of nerves and panic clung to her like a second skin. "Tom," she gasped, barely even noticing Claire standing there. "Please, I need to talk to you." I stepped forward, placing a hand on Claire's shoulder. "Anna, this is not the time." We said everything that needed saying. She shook her head, taking a shaky breath. "No, you don't understand. I made a mistake. I should have never left you. I threw it all away, and I was wrong. I lost everything, Tom. And now I realize you're all I ever needed." Her voice trembled, but all I felt was distance. Like I was watching someone I used to know play a role they no longer believed in. "Anna," I said calmly, "I've moved on. And you need to do the same." She finally looked at Claire. Her face twisted with contempt. "With her," she spat. "You're picking her over me?" I squeezed Claire's hand. "I'm choosing me, Anna. I'm choosing to stop drowning in your chaos." Anna's expression darkened. "You really think you can just throw me away?" Her voice rose, shaky and angry. "I left you, Tom, and I've decided I want you back." Then she grabbed my arm, sudden and rough. Claire let out a gasp, stepping back. That was it for me. I yanked my arm free and stepped between them. "No more," I said, my voice clear. "You do not get to come here and drag us back into your mess. This is over, Anna. Do not come back." She stood there frozen, her jaw clenched. Then she whispered, "You'll regret this. Both of you." And just like that, she stormed off again. Another slammed door in her wake. I turned to Claire, heart racing. "I'm sorry," I said, wrapping my arms around her. "I never wanted you to see that side of her." Claire just shook her head, calm as ever. "She's the past. We're the present. Let's leave her right where she belongs." But the calm did not last. The next morning, I woke with a knot in my chest. I grabbed my phone and saw a dozen missed calls, unknown numbers. One voicemail. I pressed play. "Mr. Sanders," a firm female voice said. "This is Officer Blake with the city police. We need you to come in regarding an incident involving Anna Collins. Please return our call immediately." I froze. My breath caught in my throat. What did she do? Claire stirred next to me. "Tom? What's wrong?" I swallowed hard. "It's Anna. Something happened." I got dressed fast, called the station, and within the hour I was sitting in a sterile police interview room, answering questions I could barely follow. Anna had gone to the police, claiming I was dangerous, that I'd threatened her. She painted me as some unstable ex-husband, hell-bent on revenge. I felt sick. I explained everything. Told them about her showing up at Claire's, how she grabbed me, how she had spiraled the second I told her it was over. But it was clear, the officers were not sure who to believe. They kept their faces neutral, jotting down notes while I tried to convince them that none of it was true. After what felt like an eternity, they let me go. No charges. Not yet. But I could feel it, the weight of it hanging over me. As I walked out of that station, my stomach churned. I was free for now. But Anna's damage was not done. When I got back to Claire's, she opened the door before I even knocked. Her face said it all. She had been worried sick. "What happened?" she asked, grabbing my hand. I pulled her close and let out a shaky breath. "She tried to take us down with her," I whispered. "But she failed." We stood there for a long time, quiet, wrapped in each other. Anna had made her final move. But I had already moved on. She could throw all the fire she wanted. We were still standing. And we were not going anywhere.